Hi, my name's Arvelle Lawson and I'm a DEKALB agronomist in central Alberta. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the disease of canola called Clubroot. Clubroot's a disease that was first found in Alberta in 2003, and as the years have passed by, we've learned a little bit more about the disease in terms of how to scout for it, how to manage it, how to prevent the spread of it, and also a little bit more about the resistant products that we can use to manage the disease. So when you're scouting for diseases in the fall, it's all about first scanning the field from the field edge. What you're going to be looking for is essentially areas of premature ripening, and that means that you're going to have that yellow or brown tinge to the plants when the rest of the field is still green, and that's going to be an indicator that something is going on in that particular area. You really can't tell a whole lot from the field edge, which is why you need to walk into the field, because you might have sclerotinia, you might have blackleg, or you could have clubroot depending on where you farm. So basically, if I'm looking for clubroot, I'm going to look for those areas of premature ripening, and then I'm going to walk right over to the patch. You're starting to see disease symptoms, and I'm going to pull some plants, because clubroot is a disease where you do have above ground symptoms, but you also, the big indicator is what's happening with the roots. So essentially with clubroot, the source of infection is in the soil. When we're looking at the roots, what we're looking for is the disturbance of the regular root growth, and it's replaced with these galls, these big, ugly, gross galls. It's very obvious when you have clubroot, and that's what's impacting the plant, because water and nutrients can no longer flow from those roots up to the plant, and that's why they're dying early. And something to keep in mind is that the spores within those galls are actually the source of infection for future clubroot infestations. And those spores are very long-lived in the soil, up to 20 years, the research has shown us. Half-life is typically considered to be about 7 years, and that's why it's such a concern, because it's just not about getting out of canola for a couple of years. That long-lived nature of the spores is really what forces us to make some key adjustments to our farming practices to manage the disease. So if you're only seeing clubroot symptoms in one field, that's really a good thing. Typically it shows up in a field entrance where equipment comes in and out, because the transmission happens on soil on equipment usually. So if you only have it in one field, best approach is to keep it in that field. Yes, it adds some layer in terms of cleaning your equipment before you move from field to field, but it's really, really important in terms of managing the disease. Another thing that I like to focus on is communication. So if you have agronomists or custom applicators or oil and gas folks that are in and out of your field, a good step is to just let them know that you have a field with clubroot, so again they can implement the proper sanitation procedures. After you've identified the clubroot, you've implemented some prevention mechanisms and procedures, the next thing you really want to focus in on is, how can I still grow canola profitably on my farm? And the way you do that is you essentially, look at your rotations. With clubroot, it's not necessarily about implementing a longer canola rotation to get rid of the disease. It's about implementing a rotation so you can use the clubroot resistant products available to you. Right now, there's several different options in the marketplace in terms of clubroot resistance, and at DEKALB, our newest product for clubroot management is 7454RR. It's a high-yielding canola hybrid, a great broadacre fit. It stands up a little bit taller than some of our previous hybrids. It's really solid in terms of its performance, so you can have good confidence when you plant it out in your field that you're not going to see the development of gall symptoms on those clubroot-resistant plants. Something to keep in mind though is, because of the canola seed bank that is in canola fields, so basically seed that's fallen to the ground in previous years, you may still see some gall symptoms out in the field simply because you've got volunteers coming up as well as those newly planted clubroot resistant seeds. The nice thing about the newest clubroot resistant hybrids is they offer that same fantastic yield potential, but that disease resistance package that's going to give you confidence in terms of the yields you can achieve. Like I mentioned at the beginning, you want to scan, look for above ground symptoms, then you want to pull some plants, look at the root system, and as soon as you start to see that malformation, that gall formation replacing those good healthy roots, you know that you probably have the clubroot disease. And then dig in a little bit closer, look for that sort of peat moss look, that disintegration that happens this time of year, and that's what's going to be the indicator that you do have clubroot in terms of your management going forward.